Hey, welcome back. Listen, I know I just released a video like yesterday or something, but this is a special request and it's based off of my, what I call a budget bourbon line. And I don't know if I'm in for a good ride or a bad ride, but we're going to find out right after this. All right, we have Benchmark, okay? Somebody said, hey, why don't you review realistically priced bourbons? And I said, I thought I was. And they said, no, you should get Benchmark. It's made by Buffalo Trace. Well, it's just like Jim Beam's made by Beam Suntory, but anyway. So before we get into why I don't really go for these bourbons that much, let me tell you what just happened. I went to the store to buy some bourbons, and I bought since I was doing this type of thing, I bought a Beam single barrel. Now the Beam single barrel ran me $40, okay? And it'll be my first time trying Jim Beam single barrel. I bought a Wild Turkey 101, which was $25. So we're getting sub 30 here. But then I bought a Jefferson's Special Reserve. I believe I put it over there. And it was $31.95. And the only reason I got it is because I want to compare it to Jefferson's Ocean, because I think Jefferson's Ocean is completely overpriced. And so I just want to see what the regular Jefferson's Reserve, they're the lower end on the shelf that they had in the store, tastes like. They had I think a Special Reserve single barrel or something like that was a little bit more, but I just wanted to try that one. And then I bought, by request, Benchmark. A 750 milliliter bottle cost me a whopping $9.95. Okay, have the receipt right here, $9.95. I hope you could see that. If not, take my word for it, it's on there. The reason I don't normally go for these very low-end bourbons and the regular Jim Beam and the Benchmarks and things like that, it's not because they're bad bourbon. It's just they're really watered down and unpredictable bourbon. So they want to make a predictable bourbon out of just without tasting every barrel or doing barrel control or anything like that. So what they do is they take the mash bill and they put it in these enormous number of barrels through whatever warehouses, not the grade A warehouses that they, age their good stuff in or anything, or it's on the outer edges of the rick house or whatever. And then what they do is they take them and they mix them all together in this huge batch. And they then start adding water to it until they get it to, this is actually 40% by volume, 80 proof. So the reason that these are usually lower in proof is because in order to get the consistency of flavor that they want, they keep adding water to it until basically it's watered down bourbon. And then they're hiding the imperfections and impurities. So with that out of the way, that's why a lot of the regular old Jack Daniel's Jim Beams, the old granddad regulars, the stuff like that, the mass-produced stuff, the cheapy cheap stuff on the shelf, it's not necessarily bad bourbon. It's just you're getting a very watered down bourbon, and you get what you pay for. So, but with that, I'm going to keep an open mind, and you're going to have one too. I'm going to pour you one too. And I can tell you, I'm expecting more out of this than some bourbons I've had. And what I call the trash bourbons, the ones that try to beat nature. Let me twist this top off. I didn't have to take any, nice cork pop there. Okay, but now I'm not a cork snob. I'll tell you that. I will drink W.L. Weller and stuff like that, and it has a little screw top, but we're going to pour a little here. I'm not even going to pour very much for you. I mean, you can look down and see that. I'm going to go ahead and get myself a little. But look how pale that is. Look how yellow that is. It's not even hardly amber anymore. Now, we know you can't add color to bourbon and still call it a bourbon. Man, that is really light color compared to some of the bourbons I drink. Well, compared to almost any bourbon I have on my shelf. So right away, we know it's a really, really light color. So, and it says they call this Old Number 8 brand. It just says distilled, aged, and bottled by Buffalo Trace Distillery, Frankfort, Kentucky. 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof, 750 milliliter. Kentucky Sour Mash. So there we go. We have that. It has a government warning on there, and it does not have an age statement that I can see. I don't know, but we're going to give it a try. Legs, whoops, dropped something. Hang on. Legs just really, really thin. I mean, it's hard to get legs when you water it down that much. They're running super fast, and I mean, it's like fish line streaks running down instead of big fat, trails. On the nose, I'm getting a little bit of the bourbon notes, the vanilla, the caramel, or not caramel, but maybe some apple. But I'm also getting a little buttery note off that. And sometimes that'll happen when you add too much water to a normal bourbon. It'll get that little buttery, creamy note to it. But it's almost like it reminds me of a really, really weak scotch or something. Not a lot going on. I mean, it's that watery, buttery nose with very small hints of vanilla. I mean, if you're just doing shots or something, don't waste your money. I wouldn't, do slugs like a drinking game of, Bookers up there. Yeah, I'm really at a loss to get much more out of that, but let's go ahead and give her a taste. I don't even know if I'm going to wait for the second. Watery. That's what I figured. It's just really, really watery. It's almost like I had a bourbon with ice, and I drank it all the way down to about that much left, and then I got busy doing something else and came back and it was all melted, and then I just finished it off. That's kind of what this tastes like. It's not bad. It's not a bad, but even someone trying to drink bourbon neat for the first time, I don't think this is where you start. I think it's Elijah Craig or Larceny or even regular Buffalo Trace. Those have some really good notes to them. This is going to give you a false sense of drinking bourbon. It really, honestly, truly is. It is so pale in color. I mean, that looks like a bourbon that was left in a glass with ice and all the ice melted. So again, it's not a bad mash bill or anything, but I don't like watering down my bourbon. But 80 proof, that's super low. It's not going to hurt you at all. But if you want something lower proof, Basil Hayden's, now it's a little too pricey, but I know I reviewed Old Elk and Breckenridge. Those are in the 80s, like 43 proof, around in there. 44, 43 proof. This is 40 proof. And those are, they're a little more, but you get what you pay for. And again, I'm not saying this is horrible. I don't think I wasted $10. If somebody wants to come by and have a bourbon and Coke or something, sure, here you go, knock yourself out. But I would suggest something like maybe Maker's 46 or something. But no, I mean, it is what it is. But that's what we're talking about when we talk about budget bourbons. We're not talking about Thursday night bourbon. And I say Thursday night, we used to call it Thursday night beer because you get paid on Friday and you're all out of money. So this is your Thursday night bourbon at $10, 750 milliliter. But you're really not getting bourbon. And honestly, if you mix this with Coke, you're not even going to taste any bourbon in it at all. I mean, I can barely taste any bourbon in this. It tastes watery. So there you have it. There's no finish. There's no warmth. There's no tickle anywhere. This is just watery bourbon. I don't know what else to say. So for $10, if you want to kind of pretend like you're drinking bourbon, there you go. Benchmark 8. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. As always, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell down there for notifications, and I promise I'll keep bringing you these videos.